Zur selben Zeit 1500 Kilometer entfernt in Houston, Texas, in einer Shopping Mall Block Trading. Seit 1992 suchen wir sogenannte Tageshändler im Computer mit eigenem Geld.
I'm in at 145 and 3/4, 148 and 3/8.
Kommt seit einem Jahr
Look at that
hierher.
Intel.
Vorher hat sie als Sekretärin gearbeitet.
Shit, I'm holding it all. All right, here goes Beavis. Las Vegas. Offer robotics 58 and 3/8. Buy and sell market. Offer comms 39 and 3/8 on no.
Look at that. All right, you guys, I just bought this TUES 28 and 5/8. Look at it now.
I'm buy it also.
TUES. This is off Market Maker Alert.
What we're trying to do is break up the monopoly or the fraternal organization that's existed on Wall Street for years. And if a customer comes in and he wants to be an active day trader, we provide him with all the services, the facilities, the computers, and the basic knowledge that he needs to be an active day trader. We've had people that have come from all walks of life. They've been old lawyers, old doctors. They've been ex-retail stockbrokers like we were, secretaries from these large brokerage firms. However, if we saw the opportunity and wanted to take advantage of it, we don't have any contracts with them, and being a customer of block trading is no different than being a customer of Merrill Lynch or Smith Barney or Morgan Stanley or any of the other big firms out there. The only difference is we're giving them the services like Chris said, and we're allowing them to trade and participate directly in the markets without having all these different middlemen that really just in the end absorb the profits from the small investor. You did. Are you trying to sew straight after the close?
It scared me.
Like sitting over here hitting buy because the stocks are still moving and the market's been closed for like 5 minutes.
No, I had an offer out there and I thought it was like moving, I guess, because they were adjusting.
She comes home on the computer and she starts banging on the keys.
Bye.
Stephanie?
Yes?
Do you win or lost today?
I win today.
How much?
I don't know, I didn't close out all my positions, so my
It's hard to tell.
yeah, I mean, I'm going home like maybe up $1,000, but my open P&L was close to like 9,000. So in the morning, I could come in and it could be up a lot higher.
We made $25,000.
It's not pleasant in many respects, and perhaps you're not going to find the nicest people in the world, but you are getting the smartest people in the world, and you're getting the most driven people. Where the money is, that's where they go, and the money is on Wall Street.
Wall Street, I didn't even barely know what stocks and bonds were when I started trading. I mean, here, or when I came to work at Block. It was funny. What is Wall Street, as far as like the New York Exchange?
I don't know, so what the word means for you?
Independence.
Yeah.
I mean, you're definitely your own boss. You know, you decide every day how much money you're going to make. The discipline of trading comes into play for sure.
The market was very bad. They were having a lot of problems with a lot of different things. And when I bought it, and again, that's my business, when I bought it for the right price. I bought it at a very low price.
I mean, I eventually would love to trade from my house. Yeah. I think everybody should be able to trade from their house. And, I mean, I'd love to live in Aspen, Colorado and trade from my house, and the market would be over at 2 o'clock. I could go, jogging or hiking, or life is too short.
Yeah.
It's way too short. You got to make a lot while you're here as quick as you can so that you can enjoy it. I mean, everybody thinks I'm in a big hurry all the time, but I am in a hurry. I mean, I've seen life is short and there's tragedy out there.
I'm so delighted to introduce our next guest at our Empowering Women Investors event, Stephanie Clark-Burke. Stephanie, thank you for coming in and sharing your story with us.
Thanks for having me.
So let me give you just a slight bit of background. Remember how I had introduced myself and I had mentioned that I am a pioneer in the individual investment space. Well, it just so happens that while I am a pioneer, while I was trying to become this pioneer, this young lady here was a bona fide star. So, Stephanie, tell our audience a little bit about just how you also got into the stock business and the little story of block trading. Because again, I think you have to have some historical perspective. This is not the stock market's first rodeo.
So in November of 1992, I was laid off from a personnel job. I was working for a company called Corbett Personnel, doing temporary staffing and making pretty good money. And she said I wasn't detail-oriented enough. I'm kind of hoping she sees this. So I decided, I'm just going to go back to college and I'll get a part-time day job. And I had met Chris Block, and him and his partner, Jeff Burke, my ex-husband, started this day trading thing. They had learned up in New York from Harvey Houdkin how to take advantage of the SOS order execution system. And Jeff went up there for a year to learn how to trade, brought it back. Chris had pitched it into a broker-dealer, and we literally started trading at folding tables, and I was opening accounts for the traders.
And what year is this?
This is November of 1992, so, early 93, we already have literally 20 customers.
I have not bought or sold a stock yet. I'm a senior in college.
And I didn't even barely know what they were. I mean, seriously, it was like, you'd see the Dow Jones, but I didn't have any clue or any background at all. But I certainly could fill out an application form, fill out an account, and get customers and do that kind of stuff. But, a couple years of getting the company going, we had probably up to, 60 traders now. We kept kind of taking over this broker-dealer that we were trading in the Galleria.
I remember. What was the name?
It was Texas Capital Securities.
Yes. Okay, now you're reminding me some.
Yeah, and so I actually used to input the trades. Like I would sit at a table with about 4 customers, and they'd go buy Microsoft at 80.
Well, here's what the audience doesn't know. I mean, back in the day, before when Stephanie and I joke about how when dinosaurs ruled the earth and there was no software to let you buy and sell, so you used to have to call, and basically you had a computer, and then on the other side of the computer was another person who was an employee of the brokerage, and they were sitting at this thing called a NASDAQ terminal, and people like Stephanie, or at that time you were doing that, you were listening to people say, buy Intel, and you'd be like, and they would then say, and now buy it. And then you press the button, and it was all kind of complicated.
It was like load to buy it,
load to
so
buy
they'd
it,
have it ready, and then, boom. And I also had to get Series 7 registered for that also.
So interestingly enough, hopefully you guys are seeing, I mean, I like to kind of make full connections at these events to where there's really a theme. Notice that these women, from my wife, Sherry, to Jane, to Stephanie here, unfortunately, the only way that they were involved in the market, and again, the reason why we're here is they accidentally got involved and became certified. You became a broker because you got that job, but nobody told you that, hey, Stephanie, you might become a good investor. That was never the case. It was circumstance. And that's what we want to bring to life. We want to make people aware that it should not be simple circumstance that gets you in front of the market. I mean, it's part of the message that we're saying. But unfortunately, for most women, that is exactly the case. You stumble upon the market instead of being introduced to it. That's what we aim to change through this event, and we've been aiming to do that with our company since then. But let's continue. You're now a broker, though. You're not an investor yet. You're just an order taker.
Right. So I worked behind the scenes at helping all the customers. I also was dating Jeff, one of the owners, and so it created a little bit of conflict working and trading and dating. And so I left to go be I just thought, we don't need to work together. So I'll go be a sales assistant for 3 brokers at Oppenheimer and, make about 125 grand. But that whole year that I was there, I was just like watching the stocks, even the brokers I worked for, I was like always talking to their customers, like going, look at this, I used to do this. And, you know, I just was wanted to go back. It was calling me so much.
But you were noticing it, right?
Yeah.
You were seeing things on the screen that most people never see.
And I just could feel that I could do it, yeah. And a girlfriend of mine actually put up her last 80 grand and said, quit Oppenheimer, you can always go back. I'll put this money up for you. And I quit in July, and literally in the first month of trading off $80,000, I made $26,000. Yeah,
it's incredible.
And it was pretty exciting.
And I would guess that at that time, again, this is all even before I started, you were probably one of the only women on the trading floor.
Pretty much,
right?
yeah. So I mean, it's very male-dominated,
yeah.
No doubt.
So what's it like? I mean, Stephanie, you know, has told us a lot of stories, and I wanted to, you know, bring you here partly because it's so interesting to me personally. My history in the market so revolves around Stephanie's because, again, myself and our CTO, Philip Smolin, and our other partner, David, we all came from Texas. We all went to school there, and it is from that location that we got involved in the market. And Stephanie's firm, Stephanie's ex-husband's firm, Block Trading, well, they were at the forefront of this innovation. And once I realized myself, when I got into it, what was happening, I was like, oh my God, this is possible? I mean, literally, your eyes open. And again, it's not because there's some magic arbitrage that, you know, that you're executing upon. It's not gaming the system. It's just being astute. You know, it's being able to see. One of the things that, you know, I wanted to touch upon it with Jane, but I'll do it with you, because again, it makes sense either way. Investing is a behavioral science. You know, what people often don't realize, and again, why I think women are so well suited for it, is that a stock, like a person, behaves a certain way. Each stock behaves differently, just like each person. It has its own characteristics, its own mood swings. And once people like ourselves, you know, start to get a feel, it's that feel you realize, my goodness, it's just not that complicated. And I think Stephanie is one of the best examples of that because, you know, when I first started to learn, you know, all those pictures you saw in my presentation, when I was first starting to learn, Stephanie was the star that we were aspiring to be. And that's why I wanted to bring her out here. She was so good. So Stephanie, let's talk a little bit about how you invested, like just some of the things that you did in the market, and then we'll kind of talk about some of the magic.
Yeah, I mean, just hearing you talk about that, I just think about, I really didn't know the names of the companies I traded, what they did. I knew kind of some of the sectors I would trade, like bios or techs or stuff. But I used to say, and I think I talked about in some of the articles, I thought it was an advantage that I didn't know. Like all the guys wanted to have all these charts and all this stuff, and I just kind of knew kind of from the path and like what the last few days the stock had done. So I really was looking at the trends, and I think that, you know, just that instinct that I had. I always said I wish if I could have trained people how to know what I knew back then, I would have made a lot more money, no doubt. But, you know, and I just was also really humble. I think, you know, working with all these men, like we had a boxing deal in our office, and when they'd do a bad trade, they'd go punch it, and I just was like, I had a wand.
Yeah, no,
and so I would touch the screen and go, cha-ching.
That was like a set.
But I just was really humble about it too. You know, it didn't.
Well, you know, you have to be, because there's two sides of it. There's the incredible upside, and then we also see the downside. And if you aren't humble, the money will literally be taken from you. So one of the things that I wanted to, you know, really be able to showcase to our viewers and to people who are just interested in the topic is that Stephanie here was able to do something that most people have never done in their life. Maybe, Stephanie, tell us about what happened to you in year 2000.
What happened in 2000? Oh, I'm like thinking.
Blank.
Well, Jeff and I got married in '97 and got pregnant in 2000 and had Alex, my daughter, in January of 2001. So also, block trading went out of business. Let me backtrack just a bit. So in '97, we get married, and literally the company goes out of business. They had just really kind of opened up too many broker-dealers and couldn't keep track of all the action. It was just all so fast. So I started trading at another firm, and literally 2000 was my biggest year. I was pregnant with my daughter. I started trading at another company called Momentum. ABC News came and did a segment on me one day that, on women in investing, actually. So this is kind of ties right in. And that was a pretty cool deal. I think I was like 4 months pregnant. When I started having to go to the restroom all the time, I couldn't leave my my positions. And so it started really creating a problem. In 6 months, I'd made close to $1 million. And that was my best year. By that time, when I was having Alex in January, the company Momentum put a T1 into my house so that I could get the fast execution. But it was a little hard having a newborn and trying to trade from home. But it still was possible. I still did it. It just
life kind of happens.
Life happens.
And that's the other thing too, is that it's not always. Stephanie is a great example of you can make incredible amounts, but you can also lose it because depends on the timing. You have to learn the lessons that we talked about earlier, which is you can't lose big.
I don't think I ever had a losing month. That was like the craziness about it. But we did talk about my biggest losing day.
Well, yeah, what about the margarita?
Oh, yeah. Okay, so I told him the story last night. My biggest losing day was not following a rule that I had, which was don't hold stuff overnight unless I was in the money. So I'm out of the money about maybe 2 points on 3,000 shares of CMRC that I'm holding. And my girlfriend's like, let's meet me at Escalante's. Let's go get some margaritas. And I'm also trading at home, and I'm like in these positions, and I'm like, oh, there's no way, okay, maybe I'll lose 20 grand. I'd lost money before, and the stock, GMC said they were going to buy them out, opens up 50 points the next day. Those are some very expensive margaritas a piece. Came in and literally was down like $175,000 to get out of the stocks because it was just going so fast. And at that point, we could put orders in like 10, 15 points over the offer to even try to get it. It cost me another like 75 grand to get out. So $256,000 loss that day. You talk about, I think I was like throwing up in my trash can. And at that time, I probably went to the bar and started drinking again. I don't drink anymore, let me just tell you. But the funny thing is I told Dan too, after that, I was so angry that I broke my cardinal rule that the next 2 days were my biggest 2 consecutive days ever, like 150, 180 grand each 2 days back to back. So
it's an incredible thing that Stephanie and we both got to see it. Like I think I mentioned that in my biggest day, I think was in 1999, and it was around $278,000 that I was making at the time. And again, I'm 28 years old, and you did that in a day, and your mind doesn't necessarily know how to process it. And and the first thing that it wants to do is annualize it. Like, okay, well, I made $278,000 today. Multiply that by 365. Let's get a yacht. And you end up, like Stephanie said, making silly decisions and mistake because of the fear and greed that gets you. But that's part of the beauty and the lesson that we're trying to convey in this conference, and that is that Stephanie did, probably instinctually some of the best eyes that, very nice eyes in general, but market eyes that, that someone had. She was able to see the risk, execute it, and to a lot in a time frame. There's no internet, there's no bloggers, there's no feedback. There's no catharsis. There's just the lunch margarita, basically. But still, to be able to have done that at that time, you have to believe that one of the reasons why it was so easy to lose the money that we made and not keep it and expand on it is because we did not have the kind of support infrastructure that should exist, because more people should be investing. If more people were investing in general, then there would be better rules because more people would see what is working and what isn't working. Instead, you kind of, in the modern day and age, you have a lot of people, you know, claiming to be experts, wanting to teach you how to do it, but not doing it themselves. And,
I don't understand that.
Yeah, but, well, no, that happens a lot. And
I see that.
And one of the things that we really try to do differently, and as a company too, is that the people that, when we create our technology, we create it from that empathy. You know, all of us are still, even the founders of Trade Ideas, I myself, I'm still a very active investor. And the reason I'm doing that is not simply because I jones for the action. I too am very busy. I'm CEO, I have 3 children, but I believe that if you're not in the game, and I don't mean that, you know, flippantly, I'm saying if you're not investing, then you're losing the connection to the thing that you're trying to help people get better at. You know, our company, Trade Ideas, literally was created around helping people like Stephanie and myself and Jane not make the mistakes that we have all gone through in our lives, which ended up costing us a lot of money. So much technology has been invested by us, the R&D, to help people see what's working, what isn't working, and there's never, ever been a better time to invest. One of the things I want Stephanie to tell us about is, again, you guys, you have to really kind of appreciate it because it's a timing sort of thing. Yeah. Stephanie, how many shares, like think about what you can imagine as an investment. Sherry had talked about, she has 45 shares of Amazon that she bought that's up $27,000, awesome. Which is awesome. Stephanie, how many shares did you trade in a day when you were investing actively?
I used to average 400,000 to 500,000 shares a day. So that's a lot of round trips. And back in that day, I even would have like an assistant who would keep track and just write everything down. You know, it would be like the buy price, the name of the symbol of stock, and the sell price, and how much I was up or down, and I'd go through and count. I mean, everything was like so old school now.
Well, there was no, I mean, again.
Then we traded off news. Like we had a guy in our office that was just reading out Bloomberg News so that we could kind of, you know, try to catch that. We didn't have the intelligence that you have created now.
Yeah.
Well, to point out trades.
Well, that's the thing. People had to do all of this the hard way before, and one of the reasons that we got into the business of Trade Ideas is because we thought that there's such a gap between what people know how to do and what technology could help them with. Think about Google navigation, but where your destination is set to profit. That's kind of how we envision creating our technology. Now, one of the things that everybody has to understand here, and this is, again, removing the myths of the stock market. That's what we're here to do. You can't predict the market. The market is not to be predicted. That's not a way that you deal with finance. Why can the market not be predicted? The market can't be predicted because the future is unknown. It only happens when it happens. So the way that you have to approach it, and again, this is a simple method, is simply you react to what you see as happening. It's a behavior. Imagine you're seeing, you know, traffic. If it's heavy, you have one game plan. If it's light, you have a totally different game plan. So many of those things, and or rather metaphors, they exist in the market. And Stephanie learned them the hard way, I learned them the hard way, but our knowledge base, we put all of that into the technology that now makes it easy for people to not go through the pain that you and I had to go through, you know? And so here's what's really kind of exciting and interesting to me. Stephanie is somebody that, again, you do not have to explain to Stephanie about how to buy or sell a stock. But she too, because of her, you know, personal life, you went away from the market. You know, like
I did. It's been like 10 years.
Your life happened.
Yeah, my life happened. And when Alex was born, I got into real estate, and her dad and I were building a big house in Houston, and he became a builder because we'd fired 2 builders. And you know, so then I got my real estate license, and so that became like my primary deal because it was just a little less stressful. I still do real estate right now.
And the market's changed too. That's the other thing.
Yeah, the real estate market's actually, I think, kind of similar,
Well, in slow motion, but
yeah, it's a
similar.
lot slower, but yeah, I definitely kind of hone into some of those skills when I'm talking to my clients about why we need to go down in price and be aggressive.
Well, that's one of the things that, when I see Stephanie's journey, and by the way, she's coming back to the market, and we'll talk about that a little bit, and I'm very excited.
And he only called me like 10 days ago to come out and talk about this stuff, y'all. There was no like prepping.
No, well, because I get. To me, I feel it. I feel the connection, and obviously we have that history where accidentally, if it wasn't for Stephanie's husband's firm, I might have not even gotten into the business that eventually led to where we are today. But the mistakes can be mitigated. The timing is perfect now because, again, look around you, ladies. Look around what's happening. You've got self-driving cars. You've got the kind of innovation that's taking place now is not unlike, but I think much more grounded than what was happening in the dot-com bubble. Like when Stephanie and I were trading, the market was amazing. It was incredible because, again, stocks like CMGI and the things that Sherry talked about, Yahoo, I mean, the kind of returns that they were producing, Amazon, Google,
I'm dying to trade those.
InfoSeek from before, they were going in a way that people were like, wow, we've never seen this before. Well, and then, right after the dot-com bubble, things kind of petered out because first you had the technology fail, and then you had 9/11. All these things came together.
Also the decimals. When I started trading, it was in eighths, teenies, quarters, and then
that's right.
Yeah, I can't remember what year it went to the decimals.
It was phased in.
Yeah.
But the thing is, as the markets changed, what happened was people who had the kind of skill set like Stephanie, it was very difficult to adapt to the new market. I kind of make the metaphor of imagine a saber-toothed tiger, incredible predator, but once their prey goes away, they can't exist.
I lost a little interest.
Well, yeah. Well,
a little bored.
Things change.
Yeah.
But here we are again. It's 2016, and possibly the greatest wave of technological innovation in human history is upon us. And as I said before, and I kind of keep repeating it, the stock market, that's the currency of innovation. The companies that are going to make the things happen that you want to be in. The 47 shares that Sherry has of Amazon, there's a new Amazon that's trying to happen right now. And we realize through what we've experienced that it isn't just about the ups and downs, that there is no perfect way to make money in the markets. It's about seeing everything and then taking calculated risk. Once you can take a calculated risk, all the associated news and emotion, it kind of goes away. And what we've done since then to empower, again, people to really take things into their own hands is we've applied our technology that we've been developing for, my goodness, 13 years. And Trade Ideas, interestingly enough, is one of the few totally independent software financial technology companies. We never got venture backing because having had a terrible experience before, we learned that we could get off track. So since 2003, we've been creating this business and never changing from the fact that we are catering to people who are looking to do better in the markets. So you build on that innovation. You started 2003, but we've been innovating for 13 years. We created our own database language, our own messaging, our own user interface. And we did all of this without anyone's help. And that's one of the things that, again, that we believe why we're so successful is because this whole time, well, the industry wasn't set up to get people to help them invest. The industry was like, give us your money, give us your money, give us your money. So when the institutions aren't into it, how are they going to invest? No one's going to invest money into it. So we're one of the really interesting financial technology plays in this space because who else, you're not going to get something from Merrill Lynch that's going to help you find the better odds in the stock market. That's not what they're designed for. They're like, give us your money. And it's the same thing with all the brokers. So one of the things that I kind of thought that was really an interesting completion to our event is to say that here's Stephanie. She is, again, has the kind of expertise that most people just dream about having. Again, you were probably the first woman to make $1 million in the stock market trading your own account, because, you know, there were just not that many women doing it. There might have been some hedge fund people, but no women doing it for themselves. And even Stephanie, with that experience, now that she's coming back, her plan is to actually work with Jane, who's in the game now, although doesn't have the kind of long-term experience as you, but she's dialed into what's happening, and she understands the methodology of using all the tool sets to keep you successful. So one of the things that we're gonna do is we're gonna track Stephanie's progress with Jane, and we're gonna let other people share in on that experience so they can see what it's like, not from all the different points of views. Again, you can start small. You don't have to think that you have to right away, you know, take over the world. Start with the sharing methodology. Start with 5 shares, 10 shares. Get a feel, get comfort where there's no pain, and slowly work your way up to being able to really access the full power of the stock market.
The internet wasn't around back when I was trading out. People would have to come and just like, there was a crowd standing behind me. And when block trading started opening the offices, I would literally fly out to that office and, you know, trade in a foreign, you know, place, because I was like such a creature of, you know, habit, with my little wand and all. And so it was tough for me to try to train people. So now it's going to be just really cool. I mean, for Jane and I to be able to Skype and help each other, oh my God. You know, especially with another woman, and then to, you know, possibly be able to help all you guys too. It's going to be, we can all empower each other. That's what I'm like, gung-ho.
Well, I'm super excited about the future, especially for women investors. I think this market is completely untapped, and I want to speak to you frankly that I want to help you. Our technology is here to help you get acquainted with the market, and fear is the enemy. It's not scary. Give it a try, and what you'll find out is your eyes open to all the opportunities that could be in front of you. I want to thank everybody for being at our event. Stephanie, thank you so much for coming in, and I look forward to working with you and tracking your progress.
Me too. It's going to be cool.
All right, thank you, everybody.